I would define a personal brand as an idea and a set of personal guidelines that each and every person should use to help define who they are and what makes them unique in order for them to stand apart from the crowd. And so you can use a personal brand to establish your own personal guidelines that will help you control and guide some discipline to your online activities and what it is you do to set yourself apart online from everybody else. So I think developing a personal brand is really important for Gen Yers because this generation has grown up with technology and this generation has grown up sharing everything about themselves online. And what they don't realize is that each and every like, comment, share, picture that they post says something about themselves. So if they haven't thought about how that collection of posts and online activity group together to represent their brand, then they aren't really using anything to sort of guide themselves and to control themselves and to say something deliberate about who they are as a person. So I think the idea of a personal brand will help people understand that everything that they're putting together should be balanced and controlled and really works to say something about who they are to their different audiences. I think there are lots of components that make up an effective personal brand. And I'm going to say one of them really has to be grounded in discipline about who you are. What is it that you want to represent as a brand to your different audiences? And this is where corporate marketers are very, very good at establishing discipline and deciding who they are. So I think deciding the unique talents and characteristics is a very important element. Another important element, I think, is being well balanced. So making sure that you aren't just one-sided, that you aren't just putting up a bunch of posts about being a puppy lover or something like that, and every picture you post and everything that you like has something to do with cute little puppies. So to show that you are well balanced both scholastically and maybe athletically and socially, and picking some sort of balance and making sure your content represents that balance is also important. I also think establishing a personal set of rules about the tone, the timing, and the type of content that you're going to put in place is very important. So what are your own guidelines for when you will post, when you won't post, what you will post, and what you won't post? So having a set of those elements in your own personal brand goes a long way to being very effective and creating a strong sense of who you are with all your online activity. All right, so I think there's tons of mistakes that Gen Yers are making. Part of them is just being too whimsical. They see something they like or something that they think ought to be online and they just throw it up there with no thought about the tone of it, the timing of it, or the type of the content that they are actually putting it up. I give an example in one of my workshops about somebody who's posting all day long, sometimes from their mobile, sometimes first thing in the morning, sometimes late at night. And just the idea that somebody is posting to Facebook at any kind of hour, even though they should be in school or should be at work, says something about them. The other thing that I think Gen Yers do too often is just let it all go without any thought to the discipline behind the comment that they're making. So sometimes they may be too negative or too harsh or get into a fight with a friend or put something that is just too on the edge to be online, because everything that they're putting online really does have a permanent footprint. So I encourage Gen Yers to take a little bit of thought before they just throw stuff up there and quickly post. So I don't think that too many classes are offered that are dealing specifically with personal branding. However, I think that corporate marketing is really good at establishing rules and guidelines for how you brand products and services. So any kind of marketing course that talks a little bit about branding would be very helpful, and probably a career development course that has you doing a little bit of introspective thinking about who you are and what makes you special and unique would also be very helpful, because if you blend those ideas about who you are and defining what makes you special and unique. And then you mirror some sort of communication tactic over that and some branding mechanisms over that, you're going to go a long way to establish and live a good, strong personal brand. So I think college students need to start thinking about their brand earlier than they do. And what do I mean by that? I'm not exactly sure. But I think that even when you're just starting as a college student, that you should probably move away from pages like Facebook and start to develop things like a LinkedIn profile or a Google Plus profile. Because members of clubs, your other classmates, professors, they're going to start looking at those profiles pretty early. Then as you advance through your coursework, what's going to happen is as you start to look for internships or you start to look for jobs, potential employers are going to hit those pages. So I encourage students to start right away and at least have a nice professional picture and a good solid description about themselves. And then what may happen as you start to advance through the program is you may want to join some professional groups and some social networks that have something to do specifically with what you're interested in and where you intend to get a job. So I say you can't start too early, and you can just think and build on your personal brand as you advance through your program. So I think there's lots that you can do specifically with LinkedIn. And the first thing is put a good solid description about yourself and who you are and build that profile as richly and robustly as you possibly can. Encourage people to write recommendations for you, give good solid descriptions and results-oriented descriptions about past work that you've done, past employers that you've had, and try to find people to help you build your own profile. The other thing that I really encourage people to do is join groups that are relevant to them. If you hit the groups page and you start looking either for areas of discipline that are similar to your own interests, or perhaps alumni groups from your university, your high school, things like that. Look for the different circles and the different groups that you can join, because strangely enough, there are so many ripples that can be created by participating in those groups. And then I always tell people, give, don't just take. So create content and be an active participant of that group in a valuable way. Don't just post that you're looking for a job. Don't just post that you want people to come to your event, but donate rich content and pass along nice articles. Give comments to people who have written nice articles. Be active participants, because the more active you are, then the more somebody is likely to give back to you when you then do try to ask for some help from one of your circles.